Right, so today we're going to talk about the basics of how to make just a jet fighter with BD Armoury in KSP. So, I've got a few other mods installed right now, but I'm going to use just any old cockpit. You can do this in any way you really want to, it doesn't matter, it's just the basics of center of mass and such that really make the difference. So, you'll start with a cockpit obviously, and then you'll need fuel tanks. I usually use these ones, and then you can change their color to look a bit better. And then with this, you can then take an engine and just plop it down. If you have BD Armoury installed, I suggest using the Saturn engines. This is obviously a tutorial for a simple jet fighter or something. You then need either an aerodynamic coner in the front or some sort of intake. I normally put an aerodynamic cone just on the nose of that, but then again, it depends on what you really want. I am personally quite in favor of using fairings as nose cones, so you have something a bit longer. And now you can decide this is enough, or you can add more engines by putting on more stuff like this, or holding Alt and copying to add more of the same thing to copy. I'm gonna stick with this basic shape for now. So now you want to click all three of these buttons in the back, or in the bottom left here. They will show you your center of mass, center of thrust, and center of lift when you add a lifting surface. Make sure to have it into symmetry and snapping for now. And you will want to first of all choose what kind of design you want, but you can easily start making a wing by putting in for instance these swept wings as the beginning of the wing. And you want your wing to have the center of lift in line with the center of mass and thrust, but just behind it. The more behind it goes, the less pull your aircraft will have and the less likely it will be to spin out. So it is generally a good idea to have it about behind the thing being just touching the center of mass. So I'll just make a quick wing shape, like a swept wing design. You can press C to turn off snapping, so you can turn things more smoothly and move things in smaller increments too. It's a bit more advanced for aesthetics. And then you can move this farther backwards. It is also preferable that you lower the amount of fuel you have, which you want the minimum amount of fuel you can have while still having enough fuel. So that is about good with where you want your center of lift compared to your center of mass. Obviously this will have to change now because I'm adding a tail, and the tail is most easily made just using some of these. And then for the vertical rudder you can choose for instance this. This is going to be just the simplest plane you can make. So now I have to add some more mass into the aircraft, so I'm adding some fuel back, and that does this, meaning you can move the wings a bit, and this is just a bit of fine tuning now to get it just right. Now you've got the essentials of just a plane, except you're missing control surfaces. You just go into aerodynamics, put in some control surfaces, whatever you really want. Make sure to have them though. And then you can again rotate, press C again to turn off that, to turn off snapping, and then you can press Alt to copy it, which can be helpful, but in this case doesn't seem to be. So I'll just do it again. I don't think I'll need more than this. Oh wait, I just realized what the problem is. Turn on snapping, then I press Alt. There you go. Okay. That should be enough control right now. Call it something. And now, because we're using BD Armoury, we would want to go into control and add the flight computer and also the weapon manager, which will be useful later on. So, now that you have your basic plane design, you can fit some gear to test its aerodynamics. I prefer having slightly taller gear, so you can have a higher angle of attack on launch, meaning that your engine won't hit the ground as easily. And most jets have their gear mounted, one in the front, two on the wings, just on the center of mass or slightly behind it. You could theoretically also have two gear on the wing and one on the back, but that is mainly for older propeller planes. So now I'll add two mediums on the back. Like that. And I'll move this one slightly up to fix the amount of the height difference between them. You want this one to be slightly lower than the others, so the nose pitches up slightly. So, now we'll save this, but not before going to actions. And if you have a Saturn from the BD Armoury mod, or a, well, any engine with an afterburner, you can click on Custom 1 over here in the action group, click on it, and click Switch Mode. And now when you click 1, it will make the engine go into afterburner mode, making it more powerful. So, I'll add a bit more fuel in here, so that the center of mass shifts backwards. Like this. Then save it, and you can have your first test flight. Wait, forgot to put a Kerbal in here. Was annoying. So we'll just accept claw me over here. Then you save it, and you can test your first flight characteristics. So, here we are. First thing I can instantly see is that I might want to lower this gear, lower down so the nose is more pitched up, but otherwise seems good. Okay. One other problem is that these are in an opposite direction to these, which I can change by flipping the deploy direction. Wait. Well, that doesn't seem to be working. Anyway, Q and D should be the rudder, which works. B to brake. Then Shift to push it up. Turn on SAS to stabilize your plane automatically. And then spacebar to launch. Ah, so, there's a problem. I forgot to put an intake in. So, you can technically put the intakes in anywhere where they don't even need oxygen, but I prefer making them visible so it doesn't look unbelievable. So there, we have intakes right under the wings. Then we'll save this again, and also move the front gear slightly lower down. Now you'll have a sharper angle of attack. Save. And this time that's a bit too far back because it makes the plane flip, but it should be alright. Might need to move these gear back. It's this kind of fine tuning that makes you good at keeping planes. So now you've got the engine on, turning on thrust, and you can hover over here and click on it to see your thrust weight. Currently, this plane has a thrust weight of 1.2, which means it can go straight up easily. But it is losing some thrust weight. There you go, lift off. And because this is very well balanced, it flies in a straight line exactly where I tell it to fly. And should turn quite alright. It's not great because it doesn't have much bite, and it's quite weak on power right now. So now I can turn on the afterburner with 1, which we set up earlier, and this makes me much faster, increasing my thrust weight to 3, meaning turns should be much more easy to make now, which they are. And the plane is just much better at performing, though this will make you go exceedingly quickly, so it might not be the best idea at all times. Obviously this isn't the only design of an aircraft you can make, but these are the very simple basics which we can run through again. Just to wrap up the video, very simple aircraft. All you need, cockpit, few things, minimum amount of fuel that you need to keep the center of lift right behind the center of mass. You want your gear to be slightly behind the center of mass, and you want to have quite a bit of engine power so that you can do sharper turns, and the farther away your control surfaces are from the center of mass, the more power they'll have. So if this tail was very far back, it would have a lot of leverage and be able to pull the aircraft much better. But this is the simple way to make an aircraft. Functional, fast, and weaponry and more advanced jets will come in future. So thank you for watching and enjoying this short little video. See you next time.